What's going on, folks? Tuesday night, time to talk some football. It's your boy SAJ coming to you live from the Diamond J Studios on, I know there was one on Walzum. I want to say there was one somewhere else too, and I can't remember where it was.
Wasn't there one on Nacogdoches? Was it? No. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Rocky J's on Nacogdoches.
Rocky J's is another good one that I completely forgot about because there was also a Rocky J's on Calabria that I used to go to because that was closer to where I grew up when I was a younger lad. But where are you coming from, my boy?
Today, what's up, everybody? I'm BD. I'm coming at you from the Malibu Grand Prix Studios. Oh, that was such a fun time.
Man,
Go karts and going around. Oh my god, I love that place.
brutal. I wanted to use that one too, but you came up with it, so it's yours. Loved Malibu Grand Prix. Loved the fact the only thing I did not like about it was that it was not head-to-head racing. It was open wheel time racing, right? Pardon me. But I can remember a lot of times being there and going crazy and spending time with family, racing around, trying to beat those track times. So yeah, it's a good stuff, man. But lots to talk about tonight. There's a lot going on. There's a lot on the horizon. There really truly isn't a better time to be a football fan than right now. So,
no, absolutely not.
I'm trying to bring up an article that we found from CBS Sports that caught our attention earlier this week. And it was in relation to the college football playoff schedule. You guys know we talk about college football here. I myself am a huge UTSA fan. BD loves his Aggies. Coach, whenever he does come on, represents the Longhorns pretty well. We've got friends that are Red Raider fans. That went to Tech. We've got friends that went to TCU. Like, we know a bunch of people that love college football here, right? This is Texas. It's almost as big as the NFL. But this article was extremely important to talk about, just because some of the stuff that happened in there. Now, Brian, I don't know if you're able to bring that up.
I'm looking for it.
College football news. I'm trying to bring it up. Maybe I can send it to myself through Messenger. I don't see.
Yeah, I'm having a hell of a time trying to find it right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I can find it. I'll just bring it up on my phone. Here's the gist of the article. I can't share it with you guys, obviously, because I can't find it on my computer right now. But in this new proposed 14-team college football playoff model, the Big Ten and the SEC are pushing for guaranteed first-round buys. That's kind of huge, first of all, because they're pushing to get these opportunities for buys in a schedule that hasn't even come out yet, and that's assuming that they're going to be guaranteed in the playoffs, right? So that
that was the one that I had heard previously, that all the Big Five or whatever, whoever won their championship would have a guaranteed spot, and then the rest of them would go to everybody else.
Right. So I actually brought it up. Let me see if I can share this on the screen, if I remember how to do this. Right here. Share. Here we go. So you can see the articles right here on CBS Sports, right? Big Ten SEC push for guaranteed first round buys and proposed 14-team college football playoff model. In and of itself, on the surface, you can understand why, because the size of their divisions and everything like that. But the problem with that is that I'm going to stop sharing now so we can actually talk. The problem with that is that you could have an SEC team that gets a guaranteed bye and hasn't really earned it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could have a team that comes in with win schedule and get the opportunity to rest versus a team that's much stronger. And I think that that's kind of an unfair advantage. So, I mean, it's great that, the Big Ten, is potentially a, strong conference. But they're not necessarily going to be stronger than, they're going to be stronger than the Big 12 right now because the Big 12 has been picked apart, right? And we know the SEC has always been a powerhouse, but that I think gives an unfair advantage. And so I think that that's something like, that's cool. I like the 14 team structure and everything, but don't give somebody an unfair advantage just because they happen to be in this, legendary conference or, are a powerhouse this year. You know what I mean? Brian,
cool with giving 1 and 2 a bye. Don't give someone a bye just because they're in the conference. That's just, it just seems dumb to me. Even though my team is in the SEC conference, I would never expect, Alabama, whoever, with a 11-1 record or something like that to get a bye over a 12-0 team. So
right. That essentially you're saying Alabama, because they're in the SEC, is better than A&M at 12-0 because they're in a less powerful league. You know what I mean? And that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So there's that craziness going on in the college world. There should be some pretty interesting things coming out of the college world here, specifically in the NFL draft that's going to be coming up here in a little bit. We saw some craziness from the NFL Combine this last weekend as a result of college being as crazy as it is. And I know when we get into this next college season, the 2024 college season, it's going to be a madhouse because you've got teams that have bounced all over the place now. UTSA having made a deep run and actually winning a conference title now. Going to be making a bigger push on the recruiting class and probably getting in some much more talented kids and potentially being an even bigger threat later on. And who knows, they may wind up in, the Big 12 in 2 to 3 years or something. Right.
Maybe,
so, we'll just have to wait and see, but I think it's an exciting time, but it's also a tumultuous time. Right. But speaking of tumultuous time, let's talk about some of those tumultuous times from the NFL Combine. Specifically, and I'm going to share my screen again here. Specifically, I want to talk about this record-breaking 40 time by Xavier Worthy from Texas. Destroyed it with a 4.21, right? And BD and I were just talking about this off stage before we got started.
That's impressive as hell, but like you said, you brought up, look at those next to him, dude. 4.22, 4.23, like
4.24.
Holy crap, man. Those guys are stupid fast.
Mm-hmm. There is literally 0.03 of a second separating first from fourth. That could have been one misstep. That could have been a 100th of a second delay off the block, right? Yeah. It could have been a number of different things.
Could have been a wind gust that held them back, anything.
Well, it'd be hard for them to have a wind gust inside because they do this in a stadium. But
oh yeah, that's right.
I know what you're saying. I mean, there could have been a million different things.
Yeah.
Right. Look at some of the other craziness here.
Somebody may have opened a door in the dome there,
Yeah. And then so look at this craziness right here. You've got Chris Johnson, who placed fourth in the 40 on the 10-yard split. He comes in first with 0.03 of a second difference, right? And then we're back to look at these differences, right? 4/100ths of a second difference, 3/100ths of a second difference, 3/100ths of a second difference. Pardon me. So, I mean, these cats are flying, right? Vertical is nice, but this is more a measure of athleticism, right? For a wide receiver to have a 45-inch vertical leap, that's pretty good. But you got a cornerback here that's got a 45-inch vertical leap as well. And as long as their body stats are the same, this guy's going to win. The cornerback's going to win out all the time because he's usually going to be playing underneath and getting fingers on the ball first. Not always, but advantage goes to the cornerback in those kind of jump ball situations. Broad jump, of course, nobody's really broad jumping. So again, measure of athleticism, cool, whatever. 3-cone drill, seen a little bit more spread here. Although I'm very surprised that you've got a linebacker that tied with a wide receiver, and you've got a defensive back that's in second place, and only by 0.02 of a second. The 20-yard shuttle, just numbers, blah, blah, blah. Look, nobody did anything in the 20. Oh, there it is. Brandon Cooks, right? 381. Jason Allen, 381. Those are, good numbers. I mean, those are really good numbers, right? The bench press, of course. I don't remember what the weight was. But of course, you're going to have all these, defensive linemen and offensive linemen that are just crushing it, right?
Yeah.
These cats lift houses for fun. I would have loved to have seen a tight end or a safety or somebody that got in there and just destroyed it. That would have been awesome. But anyways, the biggest thing to take away is this record breaking, 4.21. But again, all the attention's on Xavier Worthy for how fast he ran, rather, which is great. But again, you've got 3/100ths of a second difference between the top 4 candidates. That I thought was just insane. So you're going to have some fast cats coming out of college in this next draft class, and might make a difference, might not make a difference. I guess we got to wait and see, because again, it's great that you can run a 4.21. You got a cat that's running a 4.22 and he's literally right on top of you.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that much separation there. So let's see what happens.
The combine, it's always fun. Like it's crazy to see how crazy athletic these guys are. But I mean, at the end of the day, we say it every year. How many times is a guy, the fastest at the combine, and you don't ever hear from him, or he doesn't make that much of an impact because he may be fast, but does he know how to run a route? Does he know how to catch a ball? So all this other stuff. So that's why combine numbers are fun, and especially when somebody breaks a record, that's always entertaining. But look at the game film. Let's see how these guys are in real game time experiences. So,
yeah. So yeah, you're right. I mean, it's gonna come down to game time situations. Like, what are they actually doing in the game? It's great that you can run like the wind with nobody getting in your way and nobody bumping you off the line and nobody literally trying to mug you. Let's see what happens in actual game situations. But again, it's fun to see the measure of athleticism and everything. And it's fun in the sense that, like, the Pro Bowl used to be, right? Pro Bowl used to be a blast, right? In fact, I remember watching it live, and I've been seeing a lot of highlights recently where they keep going back to the quarterback competition, where they had the longest ball competition. Brett Favre was there, Bledsoe was there, Doug Flutie, Troy Aikman. That's that one where Brett Favre threw that 76-yard just insane bullet. And it was, I remember watching it live and I was like, holy crap.
Those are fun,
There's
man.
no way. But then one thing they don't show is that he threw an even farther one, but it had drifted out of bounds. So it didn't count, but it went almost 80 yards. It was 78, 79 yards. But because it drifted out of bounds, 15 yards out of bounds, noticeably gone, it didn't count. So who knows how long it actually was. So, again, just, crazy stuff, with the athleticism of these characters. Speaking of crazy stuff happening, right? I think we kind of need to talk about some of the craziness that's happening in the NFL in the postseason already. Hasn't even, it's only been a month, maybe a month and a half.
I mean, not even a month from, we're 3 weeks from the Super Bowl.
I think, something like that. And it's like Helen Keller's driving the car. I mean, no offense to Helen Keller fans out there. But things are just all over the place, Brian. I think it's important to talk about this potentially, almost record-setting deal that your boy is about to make. Let's talk about that.
Do we have to?
We do primarily because you brought it up.
But I think we need to talk about it. All right, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to piss me off. We didn't have a show last week. I didn't think about it. For 2 weeks later, you're trying to piss me off. That's what it is. That's what
pissing me off, man. By the way, put a pin in that comment, because we will be circling back to something that's connected to that later when I do my do better moment. And I think you guys are going to want to be tuned in for that. So, Dak Prescott, $60 million. Say it with me, Brian. Say it with me. $60 million for Dak Prescott. And for how long?
Is it longer than a year? Because it's too damn long. All right.
Do you want to give that cat $60 million for 1 year?
No. I don't want to give him 60 cents for a day. All right.
True. Real talk now. Real talk. 60 million, and I believe it's what, a 5-year contract, something like that. And I want to say it was like 40 something guaranteed.
Yeah.
Pulling up my calculator because I don't math this late at night. 60 divided by 5, you're looking at about 12 million a year, right? And it may even be less, but let's just say, for discussion's sake,
I think it's like works out to something like 60 million a year is what they're working out to.
No way.
And yeah, because I mean, what was Mahomes? The one Mahomes just did was like 50 something. But the way they work out, it's all a lot of upfront bonuses, so the cap hit isn't necessarily 60 million.
Holy shit. Okay, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
He's approaching the final season of his 4-year, $160 million contract extension that he signed in 2001. That's why this is noteworthy, because in 2024, he's going to be a cap hit of $59.4 million. Basically $60 million for his last year. Okay. What? And I would love to sit and know a little bit more about the contract. Like, Jersey, if you're out there, I know you're a Cowboys fan. Some of you other Cowboys fans, if you're out there, feel free to pipe in. But obviously he's not worth $60 million. I don't know what his guaranteed dead cap space is going to be. Is he worth it, or do you trade him away?
No, absolutely not. He's not worth any of it. But
Jeremy, we're talking about your best friend, Dak Big Game Prescott. Okay. We're trying to figure out if he's worth the $60 million for the last year in his contract, or if you try and trade him and get, like half a cheese sandwich and that half probably fell on the ground. Right.
So his contract that he just signed was the last one, 160 million contract, 126 of it was guaranteed, and then 66 of it was a signing bonus. So, they figure that into the signing bonus, and then, restructure the deal, whatever. So it's team friendly, I guess, but
he's basically,
like Jeremy said, what? That's right here.
Mm-hmm.
This is what everybody else in the NFL is saying.
Yes.
Everybody not on the Cowboys. Like, yes, pay him so we can't bring in any other talent on the team.
That first round exit bonus, that's going up. That's going up right there.
Yeah.
Why are you not showing? There we go.
Yeah.
There you go. Because he's notorious for his first round exits. What do you do with him though, Brian? Obviously, $60 million for the last year of his contract. You can't bench a cat like that for $60 million.
You Russell Wilson him, dude.
What do you mean? You can't. There's no way.
I don't care. I don't care what they do with him. You want to bench him? fine, bench him. You want to trade him? You know what? There's probably some stupid team that'll take him off your hands. I don't care. I just want him off the team.
Okay. But here's the thing. You guys went entirely too far, just like the Packers did. And yes, I'm talking about the Packers. Go ahead and boo and hiss and make all your noises and whatever. It's fine. Green Bay went too far into the playoffs. Dallas went too far into the playoffs. You guys hurt your standings. You hurt your chances. No, that's mine. You can't have that.
One game. No, that was one game. We had one game in the playoffs. That is not too far. That is the entire reason we're having this conversation, because we did not go too far into the playoffs.
You went one game too far into the playoffs with Dak as your quarterback. You should have tanked a couple of those games, gotten a better draft pick or draft position, and gotten a replacement. You could have traded up and traded Dak with that trade, right?
We can still do that. Whatever.
Dude, nobody in the top 5 is going to take Prescott to trade back to like what, 29?
I mean, Chicago drafted Fields, so
Dude,
there's their,
stop.
They suck at picking quarterbacks, so they may take Prescott.
Stop.
They may think he's, fantastic deal, franchise quarterback for him. Let's go. Come on, Bears. Come on. Got you a steal.
Stop. Although I would appreciate that.
I'll give you Dak Prescott and a Snickers.
I would appreciate that. Who are the chefs? Still love that commercial, man. I don't care. Let's say you can con somebody into taking Prescott and you just lost me.
Oh god.
Oh no. Oh no. Technical difficulties. This is what happens when you don't secure your camera. Let's say you can con somebody into taking Prescott and making a trade. It's not going to be the top 10. There's no way.
I don't care. Okay.
But what else are you going to have to give up? So you'd have to give up Prescott and probably a first and second round pick to get one of the top 10 picks, right? Now, there's some incredible quarterbacks out there. And if I were the Cowboys, I would definitely be looking into that, right?
Yeah.
Or trying to figure out a way how to get a good quarterback this round and use Prescott kind of like what they did with Favre and Rodgers, and then Rodgers with Love, right?
Yeah.
But you're talking on a much more compressed time frame. You're talking about maybe a year having this cat sit, maybe even having him start a game or two, an inconsequential game or two in the season to get this guy playing experience and get him ready fast, right? But again, who's going to take that kind of a deal? Who's going to sacrifice that to give up nothing? You'd have to look for a team that is specifically focused on rebuilding, that even though they've got a great draft pick, they're okay to say, what's another year? Like maybe a Cleveland or something like that. That's the best you're going to be able to hope for.
I'll take it. I'll take whatever we can get.
Well, you're stuck with Prescott.
There is also a Trey Lance that's on the roster that is a former, was he top 3 pick? I don't remember if he was the number 1 pick, but he showed some promise in San Fran. Maybe change the scenery and kind of, sitting behind Dak last year, he might be a potential, guy that can come up. So
yeah, potentially. So you've got Jonnu Smith from the Falcons, who is a free agent. He's been sniffing around at the Dolphins, apparently. Baker Mayfield, and this is surprising. Not that he did horrible or anything, but it looks like the Buccaneers are interested in bringing him back.
Oh yeah, I'm not surprised, just because, I mean, he did way better than, myself included, than anybody expected. I heard Baker was going to the Bucs. I think I congratulated him on last place in their division.
Yeah.
So he had a hell of a year, and
he did.
Really silenced most people who were talking crap about him. Like I said, including myself.
Yeah.
So,
some other notable, the Jaguars released Rayshon Jenkins, which 21, he had a great season. 22, not necessarily the greatest. It looks like 23, he had another kind of off season. But sports casters are saying
So the Jaguars, pretty much everybody on that team had an off season.
that's true. That's
last
true.
year.
Although
So.
I mean they made it into the playoffs, So I mean you can't really.
No, they missed the playoffs last year.
Oh no, shit, that's right. They did.
Yeah,
But they missed it
yeah.
like the last week of the or two of the
They
season.
did. Well, they were.
I think didn't the Texans bump them out?
Yeah, something like that. No, because the Texans had a home game. No, but maybe I don't know.
We'll have to go back and look.
Yeah, they were. I mean, they were number one in their division for good 3/4 of the season, and then just completely tanked the last few games.
Yeah. You've got Eric Kendricks, who's a free agent now.
What's up, Rig?
What's happening, Rig? Let's go, baby. As you fellas like to say, drill, baby, drill. Let's go. You've got Eric Kendricks, who is on the free agency market. Arguably not going to be as good as he used to be, but still potentially, a good value pick, right? Especially if you're using him in a situational back, he might be great, right? Plus the veteran leadership that he can bring to a locker room. So for a team that's in a rebuilding phase, he might be a good value pick. Jacoby Brissett is looking to potentially reunite with the Patriots, and Joe Flacco is still going to potentially be employed. Which
I mean, coming off the couch the way he played the last 5-6 games, I'm not surprised. I mean,
yeah,
it was actually quite impressive. And I mean, of course, there's the move that everybody saw coming, and I alluded to it earlier, the Broncos cutting Wilson. I wonder what his market's going to be now.
His market is probably going to be the pick and save or the Shopco. He's going to go the opposite Kurt Warner. Exactly. I was just going to say that he's reverse Kurt Warner.
Kurt Warner right there.
May I buy 2 drugs, please? 100%. I still love that meme, dude. Still love it. But yeah, that's the biggest, most notable thing is that Russell Wilson has been let go by the Donkeys. And I honestly, I mean, as good as he was at one point, he has fallen off so drastically. I don't think he's coming back anywhere. He might potentially come back as a backup if he's willing to swallow his pride.
He's got to come back as a backup at least.
But that's,
I mean, he does have the veteran leadership. As long as he's able to take that role, which obviously I don't know the guy, but I do know he is a high character guy. So,
Right. But is he willing to take that cut? Is he willing to take that step back and not be in the spotlight, not be the star anymore? I mean,
it's that or, not be in the league. So,
Well, true. And I know there's been, some potential talk about making a push to get him into the UFL. A guy like that in the UFL might actually bring some more legitimacy. They're not going to pay him.
That'd be insane if he actually did make that move.
Yeah.
But
and then again, that would be him playing kind of like McCarron, right?
Yeah.
Playing for the love of the game. And knowing that he's not going to be a starter anywhere. So you'd rather be a starter in a developmental league than being a bench warmer in the pros. And I get that. Some people, if I were at that level, I would too, because I'd rather play than sit, and if it means I got to take a pay cut and not make, $1 million a year and instead get, 250,000 or whatever, cool. I'm still playing ball. I'm still taking snaps. Games still matter that I'm in, So who knows? I don't think Russell Wilson, after as many years of playing in the professionals as he has played, would take a step back like that. I would be really surprised if he did. It would be just like if what's his name, Kaepernick, were to actually swallow his pride and join the UFL. Not going to happen. Too big of an ego, too big of a, he's too big for the game kind of thing. So I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be incredible if it did. That would sell some serious.
I mean, it should have happened. I mean, I don't know if obviously there wasn't an XFL back then, but it should have happened like 5 years ago or whatever.
Yep.
So
now there was also some talk, and I think whoever created the joke is a criminal mastermind, and that person deserves villain of the year this year. But they started a buzz over a fake post about Johnny Football joining the Brahmas.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that, man, because it created a stir. People were talking, right? That's kind of what we need in this league. I'm not saying we need Johnny Football in this league. He tried in the AAF. We saw what happened there. He went into that fan-driven league that ESPN had, where the fans picked the plays, and Manziel threw the wrong play, regardless. But
well, that's just because he didn't like reading playbooks. So he didn't know what play they called.
He should have talked to Quentin Dormady.
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh, he knows all the playbooks.
Damn. Yeah, because
he's like, all right. What playbook went? What you got? What you got?
And because of him, everybody else does too. So, but Manziel, the buzz is great. They would never make a decision like that because it's Manziel, right? Manziel is, as talented as he was in high school and in college and everything. Once he made that transition to pros, I think he left his talent back in the locker room in college because he just lost his ever-loving mind after that.
It was didn't care about practicing, didn't care about learning the plays, didn't care about all the stuff you have to do to be professional ready.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously playing at Kerrville, he was way better than everybody there. At A&M, he just threw the ball up to Mike Evans, and where if it was within 5 feet of the guy, he'd catch it. So
yep.
And I mean, he was a hell of a runner, kind of like how Tebow was when as a quarterback as well. So it was a lot of instinctual stuff. But yeah, once he got to the pros, it just all that stuff that made him better than everyone at the high school, college level. He, that talent wasn't good enough to get him over the top, and he didn't want to prepare to be at that level.
Yeah. So we hinted a little bit towards UFL and everything. We're definitely going to talk about that tonight because there's been some things going on, and we know that while training camp is still going on and no official moves or anything have been made, like this is the time where people are starting to harvest the wheat from the chaff, so to speak, right? People are fighting for their UFL contract lives. And you've got some people that are excelling and some people that are not. And again, there's this buzz about Manziel maybe coming back, and it could there. And again, this is speculation, and we're not starting rumors. We're not saying that he would, but potentially if he could, right? What would happen if a Russell Wilson were to maybe throw his hat in the ring? We know that Perez and Tamu came back to the UFL, which is huge, right? Luis Perez is the king of spring ball. He has always killed in whatever spring league has been there. And Jordan Tamu obviously is a very, very talented young man. DC is going to be dangerous again because of him. He made the transition back into the NFL, didn't get a starting spot. I think he made a practice squad. And then subsequently, I can't remember if he got cut or if he walked. I don't remember what it was, but obviously he didn't stay. And so, he makes his push back here to UFL to, continue honing his practice or his skill rather, and maybe make another run, or maybe pull a Luis Perez and just be the king of spring football. He'd be like, the other kingdom's king, but still in the running.
So he was on the Vikings practice squad last year.
Okay. Well, and it's the Vikings, so I almost think I'd rather be on the Browns practice squad. I'm just saying. That's just me though. I'm a little biased. But anyways, you've got some incredible movement going on. Oh, there she is. It's Brahma Babe, our sister. What's up? Horns forward. Let's go. But yeah, she missed our talk about the Jaguars too. Oops.
She probably didn't want to hear that.
Yeah, sorry. But So you have, some of this craziness going on. It looks like I'm trying to see they didn't. I can't find any information about the Renegades ticket holder party. And like kind of what the results were from that. We talked about it.
Did anybody show up to it?
Well, I don't know. I can't find any information. It's much like every other one that we talked about 2 weeks ago, right? We had all these meet and greets and open house parties. San Antonio had arguably probably one of the biggest attended ones. Just because we were there, we know we can attest to the numbers and everything, but the photos also backed it up as well. Like the photos didn't even show half the people that were there, and it was still packed. But the problem is, like we talked about, like
they've got Renegades. They've got a few pictures up on theirs. Hold on.
Okay, what's
but
it?
There's.
Can you share?
Nothing showing the crowds.
Okay, so it's like Michigan's, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, so we talked about that a couple.
There's one shot that shows maybe like 10 people.
Okay, and we talked about like Houston's, for example. Houston's looked relatively small, all things considered, but then you find out that it was only open to season ticket holders, and they specifically controlled the numbers because they only had limited amount of space. So that's why our friend Rig was actually there, took pictures. I don't know if you saw his promo video that he created, but it's him laying in the end zone, right? And it kind of scrolls back. And if you look really closely, as the camera pans around and hits the video board, he's on the video board also. Like perfect timing. And so his video editor was Mrs. Predator. She did a fantastic job for that promo video. And, UFL, if you're listening, you may want to contact her and buy the rights to that, because I mean, that's pretty classic stuff. And it's worth at least, $20-25. No, I'm kidding. It's worth way more than that. But definitely.
I'll give you Dak Prescott for that video.
Oh my God. You better give him Dak Prescott and a box of donuts or something.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we've got some movement going on in the UFL. The one thing I definitely wanted to talk about, and this kind of pisses me off. Okay. This is not going to be my do better moment. I'm not going to go off on this one yet. I will share my do better moment in a little bit. But I'm going to share my screen because I need you guys to see this. Okay. Not these excellent boots that I've been looking at from Vintage Western Wear, but Mark Nelson posted this article, this information that he got that's, on social media. You can find it just about anywhere, but the DraftKings odds, right? You got Birmingham at plus 300, right, to win the championship. You've got DC at 380, St. Louis at 380, Arlington at 475, Houston at 650, Memphis at 800, Michigan at 1300, and San Antonio at 1500. Where the heck is DraftKings coming up with these numbers from? Who in their right mind? I'm going to get a hold of a bookie. I'm calling Vegas. I'm getting right. I'm starting my DraftKings account or something, and I'm putting down $30 on San Antonio. And here's the reason why. Okay. We don't exactly know how DraftKings has come up with these numbers, but I have to believe that it comes from the previous year's schedule. Okay.
No, absolutely.
And the results and things like that, maybe potentially returning players, things like that, whatever. Birmingham definitely won the championship last year, but if you look at the competition that they were up against, I really don't think the competition was nearly as stiff as what it's going to be this year with the blending of the two leagues, right? That's first and foremost. Second of all, they have lost some of their key players, such as their starting quarterback, who is the two-time MVP. He is on the practice squad with the Green Bay Packers. I don't think he's coming back, okay? That's just one of many players that isn't going to be coming back, okay?
Yeah.
And even though you had 16 teams filtered down into 8, I don't think you're going to replace all of the talent that you necessarily lost, okay? And if you do, it's not going to be a one-for-one kind of thing. So you can't look, pardon me, choking to death. You cannot look at what they did from the past and expect them to repeat, because it's not the same team. And I've had this argument with several people now. Just like, The showcase, the pinnacle game this season is going to be Birmingham and Arlington, right? And that's going to be in Arlington, and I'm going to be there at that game. And I'm telling you now, everybody that's watching, our show, it's probably going to be Arlington that's going to win, right? Because it is Big Game Bob and, the Arlington Renegades with Luis Perez. But also the team has primarily stayed the same. They haven't made too many adjustments, too many changes. Whereas Birmingham, playing in a weaker conference, I believe, has made some serious changes. And I don't think that they're necessarily all for the best. But I'm telling you, that is not going to be the game of the season. It's going to be relatively boring. Okay? I think we're going to see much better games out there, such as St. Louis and DC, some of these other games. But for DraftKings to put San Antonio at the very last and so far out of the competition here is absolutely insane. You have...
And
Go ahead.
They took it from the record last year. I think out of the XFL teams that were remaining, they had the worst record.
Mm-hmm.
I probably the same as what Memphis I think had. I forget the UFL records, but obviously they're basically going by record last year. What it seems like they're not taking into account is they brought in the coaching staff that they brought in. With obviously Phillips and AJ Smith, the moves that they made to bolster the defense, to bolster the offense. So it's where they're getting this number from is absolutely asinine.
Right. So I'm looking at last year's USFL standings, right? In the North Division, the only team that made it was the Michigan Panthers. They were 4-6 last year, which would explain why they're sitting towards the bottom. Okay.
Yeah.
In the South Division, Birmingham Stallions were 8-2. The essentially Houston Gamblers, which are now the Houston Roughnecks, were at 5-5, and the Memphis Showboats were at 5-5. So you look back at
the
draft.
So San Antonio had of all the teams, San Antonio had the worst.
San Antonio had the worst record, but again, humongous coaching staff change, and it was arguably one of the best things that San Antonio could have done. Secondly, you had essentially the number 1, maybe number 2 ranked defense in the league that has essentially stayed the same and has all come back. We lost one of the it was the Scott brothers. But we've replaced them with arguably the same level of talent. Pretty much all of our backs, all of our safeties, all that stuff have all come back, right? And our defense was the reason why we stayed in so many of those games.
Yeah.
So,
and we've upgraded the defensive skill of our coach.
Mm-hmm.
This is Wade Phillips is a defensive coach.
Yeah,
always. We
talked about it 2 weeks ago. In comparing the coaches, Wade Phillips has arguably the best coaching record and the most coaching experience out of all the coaches. And you could combine 2 coaches and not necessarily get to where he's at. Barlow, he's got 16 games under his belt, I think, or something like that. I'd have to go back and pull up the stats that we looked at. But there are coaches out there that have less experience than what Phillips has in 1 year. And there isn't a single other coach out there that has a Super Bowl ring, and Wade Phillips does. Now, I hope he's okay. I hope, I didn't, after the interview, he didn't get sick from the bubonic plague, and, I've cursed him in some way, shape, or form with that. But again, Wade Phillips arguably is probably the best coach out there. He's proven that 2 years in a row. The only reason why they did not go to the championship game last year is because I don't think that they 100% were taking Arlington as seriously as they should have, and they let Arlington squeak by. Okay? They should have destroyed them that playoff game. I think they were thinking more of, let's just coast this and, let's get into the playoffs, and then that's, this will be our bye week, essentially. And then we're going to destroy whoever we play in the actual championship game. And that did not work out well. And I think what happened is Arlington, plus having Luis Perez, they got out early. They stayed ahead, and Houston just could not keep the pressure on them to catch up. Okay. But without Luis Perez, guaranteed Houston would have been in. No questions asked. No problem. Okay. So I think, arguably speaking, we've got the pieces of the puzzle that are going to make the difference. We've made enough major changes that needed to happen, specifically on our offense, our offensive line, and our coaching. So those 1,500 odds, man, I'm telling you, I'm putting money down on San Antonio.
I am too.
And we're going to run the table. And I'm going to love
I'll be
bit of it.
I'll be in Vegas the week before the season starts, so I'm going to throw some on there.
You do that. You let me know. I'll Venmo you some cash. You put money down for me also, because we're doing this, man. We're doing this.
Oh yeah,
right. We're gonna run the table just like San Antonio is, and after the championship game, we'll be collecting our money and we'll just be sitting back laughing. Okay. Now it may not be a whole bunch of money because I'm not putting a whole bunch of money down because I ain't got a lot of money, but it's still going to be fun either way. Right. But I really think San Antonio being grossly underestimated like that, all that's going to do is just, upset Phillips even more. And he's really going to have a bone to pick with the league. Okay. Now we've got, should I do better or should we go to the another segment?
Let's go. We'll save do better for
towards the end.
Yeah.
Okay. So some of our seasoned, more experienced fans may remember a little arena league called the National Gridiron League, and some of the different teams that came from it. They did some stuff, right? They weren't necessarily that super noteworthy or anything like that, but they were a decent league, right? But here's the thing that I wanted to share with everybody. Okay. Pardon me. So it looks like Inside the Arena is reporting that the National Gridiron League is looking to make a comeback. And the most noteworthy part is that they're looking to revive some of the old AFL names, such as the Cleveland Gladiators, the San Jose SaberCats, the Michigan Grand Rapids Rampage, Utah Blaze, Tampa Bay Storm, right? You've got some of these other teams. There's a Houston team. No, that's not Houston. I forget who the heck that is. But you'll have a Texas team supposedly in here. You've got Chicago Rush. I'm sorry, that's not Chicago Rush. I forget who that is, but this is definitely Cleveland Gladiators. The San Jose SaberCats over here. I think it's important to bring that up, and here's the reason why I'm bringing it up. Right, everybody here knows that we support the IFL, the CIF. Some of the other, arena leagues that are here in Texas. But if you go down the list of arena leagues, the market is absolutely overly saturated with leagues, man. Yeah. And that's bad. Here we go. Here's our guy. What up, Bobby G?
What's up, man?
Horns forward, baby. Let's go. The market is absolutely filthy with arena teams, right? You and I remember some of the old AFL days. Renee definitely remembers some of the AFL days. She has some serious connections with, some of these teams here, right? Specifically, the Florida teams. There are so many leagues now and so many teams. And in fact, we just talked about it 2 weeks ago that the NAL, National Arena League, just had some teams fall apart. And it looks like potentially some of those same things are happening. Tell Jax to be quiet. But you've got some of those other teams in, the newly revived Arena Football League that are having financial problems. And, there's talk about, potentially 2 other teams in the NAL that are falling apart, but just haven't hit those financial dire straits where they've ceased operations yet. But the more leagues you have, the more teams you have, the more competition there is for the limited fan base. Because again, let's be honest, arena football is kind of a niche market, right?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily for everybody. Some people like the fast-paced performance of the game. Some people like the high, scoring offense. Other people do not. Some people like to stay away from that because they feel it kind of dilutes the game. But that being the case, if this is true that the National Gridiron League is truly trying to make a comeback, all they're doing is watering down the product for everybody else, including the IFL, which has that direct connection with the UFL. That's providing players that are basically getting training and getting a little bit more refined to try and make it to the next level of competition. You're going to be watering down what's left of the NAL. You're going to be watering down the CIF, right, which is arguably one of the other only. I don't want to say one of the only other.
AIF, CIF is gone.
I'm sorry, AIF. Yeah.
But that just goes to your point, though. How many arena leagues are there? So we had the CIF last year, and the NAL pretty much took all the CIF teams, and that league disbanded, and now you get the AIF, and so to your point, there's a lot of freaking arena leagues, and I mean there's still a lot of even more that we don't know about, don't talk about, kind of the sub tier leagues. So it's just eventually the cream will rise to the top, and
maybe. Right. Because again, the problem is you've got all these different leagues that are floating around, all these different teams that are competing for all this different talent. So you may have some really incredible talent that goes to the AFL or maybe to this potential National Gridiron League, but you're not going to have enough where it's going to make a difference, right? You're going to have 3 or 4 superstars in this one league, 4 or 5 in this other one, maybe 10, 15 in a third one.
But you would think, you've got the IFLs is obviously the most sustained league. They've 15 years in a row now.
Mm-hmm.
So they're kind of, you would think that, whatever the Gridiron League has 3, 4 really good players. Well, eventually they'll probably make the move to the IFL, and kind of it'll kind of nature balances itself out in that way. It may take a little while and a few leagues, but it'll eventually kind of get down to all the best talent is within maybe just 1 or 2 leagues.
I could potentially see that if that does in fact happening. I mean, if these players are standout players, some of these bigger leagues taking notice of it and saying, hey, you're making $22.50 an hour over here. How about you come over to us and make $25 an hour? Right. That could potentially happen. But that also means that those leagues are going to have to be, very diligent in watching some of these other markets, maybe even potentially having to hire talent scouts to go out and look for these people, which is another added expense. Right. So it can cause potential problems. Right. Again, you're watering down a market that's already overly saturated. At some point something's going to break.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the part that I'm worried about, because again, even though Arena League is not necessarily, regular National Football League, gameplay and everything, there are some incredible talent that has come out of the Arena League program, and it provides something for the fans, right? There is a demand for it. So why ruin it just because you're being greedy trying to grab a slice of the pie that's already cut up into 75 pieces, right? I mean, come on. Okay. So speaking of things being cut up into pieces, I'm getting ready.
What the hell? How do you segue to that?
I'm getting ready to cut someone up into pieces. Okay. That's where that comes from. So
I'm gonna start calling you Segway J.
Segway J works too. SAJ, Segway J. You're just mad because I've got a talent for it, bro. That's
Yeah,
what it
yeah.
is. You know, that's why it works on Horns Forward. I'm just saying, right? There was a post on the San Antonio Brahmas page, and guys, this is my do better moment. So I need you to pay attention. Kids in the back, put your, take your headphones off, make sure that you're paying attention because I need everyone to hear this now. Okay. There was a post on the San Antonio Brahmas Facebook page. You guys know that we're hometown homers. So we're, especially when something like this comes up, we're going to take notice. But it is very important for us to call this out because something absolutely ridiculous happened. And it's uncalled for and it's unacceptable. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay. There's a gentleman right here by the name of Eddie Valles or maybe Valles Jr. Okay. Calling out. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if I need to zoom in. I don't know if I can zoom in. I can't really zoom in. But our friend Eddie here calls out the San Antonio Brahmas for the team name, saying, really? Couldn't find a better name or mascot? Brahmas with a middle finger emoji. Bad word, the immigrants, border jumpers, or even border brothers would be better. And then a bunch of the crying, laughing emojis. Guys, no. I don't care what your personal feelings are, what your beliefs are, or whatever. San Antonio is one of the biggest melting pots in America. We have a very large, very mixed culture here, but it is very heavily influenced by the Spanish culture and specifically the Mexican culture. Okay. We are not going to let you get away with calling people out, making racist comments, saying crap like that, and speaking out your behind. Eddie, you're an absolute moron. You live in a town of almost 2 million people. Last I checked, it was like 56% Hispanic community. You are outnumbered, brother, and you are poking the bear. Okay? Not only is that offensive to our Hispanic friends, hell, that's offensive to us white folks. Okay? Yep. Because we try and believe in things like honoring diverse cultures and celebrating the diversity of the different populations. I'm not Hispanic. No way I can change my culture, but I'm definitely going to embrace the Hispanic culture because it's all around me, right? Fiesta comes around, we're going to party, we're going to have a great time. Guess what? When Oktoberfest comes around, me and all the same people that were partying at Fiesta, we're all German now. Guess what? St. Patrick's Day comes around. Every one of us is Irish, okay? It's not about your racial, prejudicial, political charged agenda BS here, okay? You are just a complete moron for calling people out and trying to start problems because you're an internet troll and you don't have the guts to say any of the stuff to anybody's face, okay? Now, I did a little bit of snooping on our friend's Facebook page, and he posted a picture of his car. And I want to share this with you, okay? So this is Eddie's car on his Facebook page. Loud and proud. He's very proud of his Crystal Meth Palace right here, okay? Eddie, you want to talk trash? You got to make sure you're not messing. You're messing with people that aren't going to fight back. We're jerks. We're going to fight back. Okay. So you take your crystal meth smoking, trailer park living, inbred, cousin loving behind with that racist nonsense and go somewhere else. Do better, pal. Do freaking better. You got anything to add, Bri?
What he said. No, what he said.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy's just he's a jackass. You know. I mean, you don't like the name. Cool. There's a lot of people who don't like the name, but don't be a douchebag. Don't be racist. You know.
Let's talk about that. I didn't like the Brahmas name. I still technically don't like the Brahmas name because it's too much like MacArthur High School and the Brahmas. Okay. I loved the Commander's name because it embraced the military heritage and the military culture that's here in San Antonio. Again, part of what leads to this being this big melting pot that San Antonio is. Okay. There's only maybe 3 or 4 other cities in the United States and maybe 10, 15 cities in the world that have a culture like us that is so ingrained in every different culture that truly is a melting pot, so to speak. New York, LA, potentially Chicago, and us. Okay. Dallas does not have that. Houston, does not have that same feeling, that same vibe, right? San Antonio has incorporated everybody's culture into the San Antonio culture. Okay. Again, not a big fan of the name. Don't love the Brahmas name, but I'm not going to sit there and make fun of it and make racist comments just because I don't like it. Because you know what?
Yeah.
There's 15,000 other people that love the name. They love it enough to buy season tickets. And this year is probably going to be even more, right? With all the work that the UFL rather has done to bring attention to the Brahmas with destroying, joining the trying out for a spot on the team. Wade Phillips becoming the coach here. Like, this culture is going to grow, and we don't have room for people like you in it. Okay.
Nope,
so if you bought
not.
season tickets, hit me up offline. Look for me, SAJ. I'm super easy to find. Okay. I will buy your tickets from you. Okay. Because we don't need people like you at the game. Okay. We need true blue, dedicated football fans that want to support this community, regardless of what the name of the team is, right? They want to help support the team and the culture and the league. That's what we're looking for. Not you fair weather bandwagon fans that want to talk trash from the bench like you're actually somebody important. Okay. Get out of here with that. So again, do better. So I'm sorry I went off on my tangent, folks. That kind of stuff just cuts to the core with me. And I just cannot stand by and let people get away with that. So Mariachi Brahma, thank you so much for sharing that with us and letting us know about what's going on. I wish I could have seen that post. It looks like it has been either covered up or taken down because of someone's stupidity like that. And the really sad thing is that comment was made on a post that was pushing season tickets and regular game. Well, I think it was regular game season or regular game tickets rather for the Brahmas. And so all the hard work that, the Brahmas social media team put into making that post and getting the word out there and trying to drum up sales, you ruined it with one stupid comment, right?
Yeah.
So
you douchebags will just come in and ruin anything.
Yeah. So Jeremy, on behalf of the True Blue fans here, to you and to the Brahmas staff, everybody that's working so hard behind the scenes and everything, I am sorry that this happened. I am, pardon me, I am sorry that your hard work and your dedication to the team got crapped on by some inbred hillbilly redneck, whatever he is. It just frosts my flakes. That's all I'm going to say. I was going to say something else, but I'm going to leave that go. Okay. But again,
I thought you were going to say it frosts your tips so you look like the Battle Chickens kicker from last year.
Oh, I used to do that with my hair in the 2000s.
I did too,
That is not a thing anymore. That did not come back. No. That does not need to come back, right? Kick the ball, leave your silly little backstreet hair cut in the back. Blah. So, look at this. Look at this. Our friend Mike G, because of that comment, he just sold more tickets. And so the Brahmas name is even more secured because of it. So thank you. Okay.
And yes, everybody, call James Carr. Go get your tickets.
Yes, call James Carr or one of his friends. If James Carr cannot help you, he will send you to somebody who can help you. Yep. Such as Jeremy up there or one of the other staff. These guys are waiting to help you. They can get you some incredible deals, right? We have the Lone Star Club. We have the Brahma Bullpen. We have our section in 134. You can come talk trash with us. You can be in the party section in
Rowdy Bunch.
108. We got to figure out some kind of a name for our section, dude. We really do.
The Jackasses. I mean, that's just pretty much what we are. Yeah. So
Benchline Bums or something. I don't know. Something to represent section 134.
Yeah.
134? Yeah.
Yeah, 134.
Yeah, the Roaring Force, something like that. No, it doesn't work. Because that reminds me of that lawyer guy with the fours. We can't do that. We'll get in trouble.
That's Boss Hoss from Star Wars.
Love it. That's a good analogy. Oh man, you should see it. They actually have an all Spanish commercial that's been showing on.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's been showing on one of the Roku channels. Oh my god, dude, it is so great. In fact, it's on the Fail Army channel. They've got an all Spanish commercial. So it's him and his son. It's so funny, dude. It's so funny. They're Spanish. You could tell that they're so rehearsed and choreographed, and they still couldn't get it right. So Spanish is a tough language, especially if you speak English primarily, right? Learning another language is a little bit tough, but I still encourage you guys to do that, right? That's a really good way to ingrain yourself in another culture. So Mike G, we said we could do the sideline bums, or Rig Rocker said Wade's Misfits.
Yeah.
I've seen some signs going around, the Wade Brigade, or
yeah, that's our 210 Brahmasita Jackie. She came up with that. So
yeah. Or I've also seen the BWO group, the Brahmas World Order. They came up with Wade's World. I thought that was pretty unique.
I saw that
was
one.
pretty tight. But we don't want to use those because those are somebody else's mastermind. That's their baby. Let them run with that. We'll figure out something. It may be something that we can't say because of security, but we'll have a name for ourselves. But in the meantime, guys, right, there's still so much going on. It's a matter of 2 weeks, and then Arena League kicks off, and then another 2 weeks, and then we've got the UFL kicking off. So we have got some action going on. There's so much that you're going to want to be paying attention to. You're not going to want to miss this. Again, we've got this huge rivalry with St. Louis. We have got to pack the dome when St. Louis comes to our house, because they seem to think that they have the best fan base. They have the biggest fan base, but I've been there for the game. In the middle of a heated play, I was able to have a conversation with the people next to me at normal level. I have never been able to have a conversation with anybody at normal level in the Alamo Dome, right? And that's 15,000. They've got 38,000 showing up to the games. They've got so many people that they're going to be opening up upper levels, right? Which means more newspaper on the ground, more bird poop on the ground, right? More dust, less lighting, because I'm sure lights are going to burn out there at St. Louis, right? But we've got to show the league that we're serious about football here. So make sure you're reaching out to James Carr and to all of his team. Get your tickets, right? Daryl Johnson said it himself at the town hall that we had here in San Antonio. Give them one game. Try one game. Tickets are as low as $15?
Yeah, 10, 15, $20.
Right. Parking is another $20. So for $40 for one person, potentially, 60 for two, you're going to get NFL caliber football here in San Antonio that you could call your own. Come and check it out. See what everything's all about. And you
can find us at a tailgate, and you'll get all you can eat and all you can drink too.
That's true. That's true.
That's worth the price of admission right there.
So, right here, Mike G said people go to the games just to drink beer, and some people do. And if that's your thing, great. I mean, if you don't mind paying $15 for, a pretty decent sized beer, come on, check it out. If you want some free stuff, we got you covered too, right? Texans Talking Football, Horns Forward podcast. There's going to be tons of us in lots B and C that are going to be tailgating and just giving stuff away for free.
Oh, yeah.
Come and check it out. Come see what it's all about. I'm telling you, give us one game. You'll fall in love just like we would have if we were normal people and not crazily obsessed football people. You're going to love it. Okay. So just give it one game. I promise you, you'll get addicted just like we are. Okay. Again, tons of stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. There's going to be so much to talk about. It's going to be nauseous. I'm super excited for the UFL kickoff. I'm super excited for the IFL kickoff and for what, is going to be coming up for the San Antonio Gunslingers, the San Antonio Brahmas. I'm excited for where's my finger pointing right here? Our Roughnecks fans, they've got their team still. We've got their coach, but they've got their team. The Arlington Renegades are still the Arlington Renegades. I'm excited. I am so excited. We've got St. Louis in our division, right? So now we can actually see who's the king of the XFL. Okay. And we're coming for you. Okay. Make note, UFL, be ready, because San Antonio Brahmas are coming for you. We're coming for that championship. We're going to prove to you why we're calling this revenge season, because we're going to be exacting our revenge on each and every one of you. And we are going to take that championship in 2024. Brian, you got anything else before we check out?
No, that's it, man.
Okay.
Just to say, you and I are going to make some money off that.
Yep. We're making money, guys. Stay tuned. We'll keep you updated. Obviously, what we're going to be spending our millions on, millions of pennies. But there's still penny candy stores around somewhere. Like we'll be okay. We have some buying power. But in the meantime, guys, appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. We could not do that without you fans. Shout out to our boy Flex and Texan, Bobby G, all you guys, Rig Rocker, Mike G, Brahma Babe, all you guys, Jeremy Garcia, thank you all. Shout out to Restream. I'm not giving you a shout out. It was just a comment that's in there. But we love you, Restream, anyways. But again, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you catch us next week, or you can catch us, I believe, next week, Monday, we'll be on Horns Forward.
Yep.
So
no. Following week.
The following week. That's right. The following week. So then we'll be back next week on Texans Talking Football, because we don't believe in taking time off unless one of us is stupid and overbooks our schedule. Otherwise,
unless somebody has like a work conference they've got to go to.
Man, that's the worst. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Well.
You should tell work that nothing's more important than Texans Talking Football. All right, folks. Love you. We're out. See ya.
Later.
Let's go.